Today, we will be going over round 2 of the $1,000 Little Cup tournament I am hosting, where some of the best Little Cup players of all time are competing against each other. Players first go through a tier veto system where they alternate between picking and banning different generations of Little Cup, with the 3 tiers remaining being played in a best of 3 against each other. This video is only a recap of the highlight games that happened during this round, so if you want to see all the games live or watch all the replays, be sure to check out the links in the description of this video to both my Discord where live matches are posted or the Smogon forums where you can also find the usage stats of Pokemon. If you enjoy this kind of content, be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel, as videos covering the remaining rounds of the tournament and then Top Cut will also be posted here. Now, let's get into the tournament coverage. Up first, we have Vultix versus Raichi in Sun and Moon Little Cup. Vultix is currently an LCPL reigning champion with the best record in Sun and Moon in that tournament, while Raichi historically has had really good performances in both Sword and Shield and Sun and Moon Little Cups. Vultix seems to be bringing a kind of bird spam team with both Doduo and Volibee, where he has Pawniard as his own bird resist, Staryu to remove hazards, and then Magnemite possibly for some speed control, while Raichi is bringing a more normal balance with Mareanie and Spritzee as fighting resist, his own Volibee to put on offensive pressure, and then Pawniard and Onix as the flying resist. As we start the battle, we see Doduo actually leads into the Mienfoo as Fungus switches in to take fake out. U-turn gets clicked as Fungus clicks Sludge Bomb into the Mareanie. Mareanie is able to get a knockoff into this Fungus as it opts to click Spore, no resist to that on Raichi's team. Magnemite switches in on the Volibee as it clicks Volt Switch, trying to get that pivoting electric move pressure in. Mienfoo comes in to take the Volt Switch, taking a lot of damage, 42%. Fake Out gets clicked into this Volibee, giving it a speed boost as it flinches the Volibee afterwards. Onix comes in the next turn to click Knockoff. Volibee comes in on the knockoff. Oh my god. Volibee clicks Knockoff into the Onix. Rock Blast is then clicked the next turn as it two-shots the Volibee. Obviously that stab rock type move's going to do big damage. Doduo comes in the next turn and clicks Substitute against the Onix, reveals Hidden Power, and it looks like it's probably Hidden Power Grass as it just Okos with Life Orb. Doduo then clicks Brave Bird in, doing a lot of damage to Spritzee, 68%. Moonblast gets clicked, breaks the Substitute. Brave Bird is clicked again, and most likely going to die of the recoil here. Yes, it does. Magnemite gets clicked the next turn. There's no longer electric resist on the other side of the field. Fake Out gets clicked, possibly to break Sturdy. Reveals itself as most likely Choice Scarf as U-turn crits into the Fungus, could be a big deal. Pawniard gets clicked the next turn as Brave Bird is clicked by the Volibee that switched in. Looks like Pawniard's going to opt to just try and knock off an item here as it reveals that the Volibee is actually a Z move, or Z Crystal. As it reveals its Z move, it reveals Z Mirror move, gets a +2 attack boost, and clicks Black Hole Eclipse, and then the Pawniard just dies. Magnemite comes in the next turn, just dies to knock off. At +2, Staryu's going to come in, is just going to die to the +2 Brave Bird, and then finally Fungus, with no hope left, just going to die to this +2 Brave Bird. So Volibee is able to get a +2 off using Z Mirror move, and then Oko the Pawniard with Black Hole Eclipse, and then is able to just sweep the game from there. Really some crazy tech being used by Raichi here. I had personally never seen it before until this battle, but let's get into the next one. Up next, we have Lokifan versus Freezeye in a Scarlet Violet Little Cup game. Lokifan, one of the best Scarlet Violet players we have currently in the scene, doing very successful in both SCLs he's participated in, and it looks like he's bringing one of his teams that he brought in that tournament, actually, his Rain team with Horsey and Dupiter. Freezeye, though, also bringing another offensive team. Looks like he's got a Grookey and an Unburdened Grassy Seed Drifloon here, obviously trying to most likely get a lot of hazards up with Glamet and Toadschool. Mienfoo and Volibee is your just standard really good Pokemon, and then obviously Grookey providing the grassy terrain for Drifloon. Let's get into the battle finally. Not a great matchup here for Lokifan either. Grookey running into your double Rain core, as Riolo just opts to get the Rain up with his Prankster ability, most likely carrying that Damp Rock as well. Dupiter comes in the next turn, just opts to click Surf, and just gets an Oko into the Tenta that switched in, or Glamet, sorry. Toadschool now comes in, has to Terra into a Water type to live the hit. Clicks Grassy Giga Drain, apologies. Surf is doing great, 43% damage. Toadschool clicks it again, and as the Shrew opts to switch in this turn, and now it clicks Parting Shot as Gothita comes in the next turn. Earth Power is going to do 33%, and it's going to do another 33% as Gothita clicks Psychic, but it actually doesn't get the knockout. So this Toad is still alive and at +1 speed. First impression by Trapinch has to get clicked here to revenge kill here, as Grookey's going to come in the next turn, as Dewpider opts to get sacked in order to not lose to this Grookey, and it reveals itself as also Life Orb. Trapinch comes in the next turn to try and click First Impression, but Grookey reveals itself as Protect, protecting itself from that only first turn priority move. One Hammer gets clicked the next turn, knocking out the Trapinch, and now it's only down to this Horsey and Strudel to win the game. Strudel comes in to click Rain Dance and opts to continue clicking Rain Dance. This does not give Vullaby a speed boost that can make it faster than the Horsey in the back. Horsey does finally get to come in and clicks Weather Ball, knocks out the Vullaby, reveals itself as Life Orb, but now Grookey just comes in the next turn. Terra Electric gets clicked, but the Grassy Glide is going to crit. And Freezeye, going to be a prominent SCL player in this match. Really offensive teams brought by both, and honestly just a really good matchup for this Grookey. Basically no grass resist for both itself and the Toad, and they're able to just put in a lot of work and defeat LokiFam. Next, we'll be covering this Oras Little Cup game between Whale and Philae. Both of them are bringing some relatively interesting looking teams, with Philae opting to bring the Larvesta and Staryu as the rapid spin support to try and obviously remove the hazards, so Larvesta isn't taking 50% from rocks, while Whale is bringing double bird spam with Fletchling and Arching, obviously trying to pressure through the Onix on Philae's side with lots of strong flying type moves. As we get into the battle, we see Mienfoo leads into Whale's Magnemite, so he also just click High Jump Kick and does 86% to Whale's Mienfoo, most likely revealing itself as pretty strong. Abra switches in, predicting the Fungus switch in, and it does 63% to Whale's Magnemite. That reveals itself as Berry Juice. It's also going to get a Recycle up, as it opts to click Flash Cannon on the Onix. That's switched out. It then Volt switches on the Larvesta, now at 50%. Pretty low HP here for it. Staryu comes in on the Fake Out, and then clicks Ice Beam into the Magnemite, not going to do a lot of damage here. Onix going to have to come in, and it eats a Flash Cannon. Wow, just OHKOs the Onix there. Really good click by Whale there with the prediction. Knockoff gets clicked into Whale's Mienfoo, as he's going to go click U-turn into the Larvesta. Unfortunately, doesn't get burnt. Pretty fortunate. Diglett comes in and clicks Rock Slide. Doesn't reveal itself as Life Orb, so it could be a Violite. Rock Slide's going to get clicked, only doing 16% to this Porygon. Tri-Attack gets clicked. Earthquake gets clicked again as Porygon opts to recover. Earthquake only does 36% to the Porygon as Porygon Revenge kills it with Tri-Attack. Mienfoo comes in to try and take out this Porygon, but Philae opts, it looks like, just sack his Mienfoo here, as yeah, HJK is going to do 67%. Abra comes in on the next turn, as Whale goes to sack his Fungus now that the Mienfoo's dead, but Philae reveals Substitute on his Abra, most likely saying it's Life Orb. He then clicks Hidden Power on the Magnemite, predicting it to switch in. Alright, and then Philae here clicks Substitute as Mienfoo just opts to click U-turn. So really smart click by Whale here. So Philae was predicting Fake Out to get clicked and break his Substitute, so he tried to get a second Substitute up. But Whale, most likely just getting the turn right, as we can see, just clicks U-turn, is now, this Life Orb Abra is now at risk of dying to this Fletchling Acrobatics. So Philae's going to have to switch out here, going to have to go into a Staryu to take the hit, but it doesn't take it very well. It takes 57%, is just going to have to get sacked to this Fletchling. Porygon, the only thing that on this team that can still live the attack, as Whale reveals that he's U-turn. Gets a crit as well, pretty fortunate. Tri-Attack gets clicked, and it reveals itself as eject button. And as you can see, Philae just forfeits the game, because he's now no longer in a position to win the battle anymore, as Fletchling's just going to be able to come in this next turn, would have been able to come in this next turn, revenge kill the Porygon, and then kill the Abra. So yeah, really good battle between both players. Well, getting a lot of turns right, including that Flash Cannon into the Onix, and probably more crucially, this U-turn into Abra as it predicted Fake Out to get clicked and break its Substitute. A really good game by both players, as we'll move on to the next battle. Next in Sword and Shield Little Cup, we've got Laroxel versus Rari. Laroxel bringing a team that might be familiar to the channel. I used this in the finals of Little Cup Premier League against Raichi, actually a competitor in this tournament, while Rari bringing a much more normal looking team, with actually having a Timber over Mienfoo, which is more common on these kind of sixes. But let's get into the battle here, as we see Vullaby leads into the Mareanie and is able to quickly knock off its Violite as Skull gets clicked into the Vullaby. No burn, fortunately for Rari. Bravery gets clicked into the Pawniard as it opts to click Stealth Rocks, but his Vullaby reveals that its Heat Wave does a lot of damage to this Pawniard. Clicks Knockoff into the Vullaby, most likely getting rid of that Berry Juice, yes, as it clicks U-turn. Doesn't actually kill the Pawniard there, A little bit unfortunate for Rari there. Stealth Rocks go up as the Mienfoo switches in on the Stealth Rocks. High Jump Kick gets clicked as Marini comes in. Reveals itself. Super slow Mienfoo as Marini is going to go first, and he actually is able to both get a Scald and a knockoff into this Mienfoo as it U-turns out, as Diglett comes in the next turn and reveals itself as Air Balloon. Not going to be very useful in this game because there is no opposing ground type. Porygon comes in for Rari's side to potentially Revenge Kill, as it reveals itself as Ice Beam. Actually gets a very fortunate freeze into the opposing Mienfoo. Volby comes in the next turn, but the Mienfoo just thaws out right immediately afterwards. Abra comes in, was like the Revenge Kill, and it actually just opts to click Dazzling Gleam. Good mid-ground chosen there. Diglett comes in next turn, clicks Beat Up, but because he's not Life Orb, he's going to most likely not be able to get this kill. Yeah, the Abra lives on 27%. It's a big live there, and now Diglett's knocked out. Abra is now still alive for this battle as it clicks Protect, trying to stall out some stun turns. But because his Marini's already dead, there's no longer a fire resist on his team. As we can see that Weather Ball's doing 72%, now has to click Mach Punch into the Vulpix, which is good at least, because now this Ponder can come in and either Revenge Kill it with Sucker Punch, or just ensure, as we see, that the Vulpix switched out is unable to live unless there's hazard removal on the Roxel side. Iron Head gets clicked into this Marini, as because the Mienfoo was so slow, and he gets a knockoff into it as well, as he looks like he's trying to get some Hack's Chance into it. Skull gets clicked into Poniard, does get a pretty fortunate burn. Porygon comes in the next turn against the Marini, most likely clicking Recover, but actually switching on a Sludge Bomb. So now Porygon has to just click Thunderbolt. Mienfoo comes in the next turn, as Poniard comes in afterwards. He clicks Fake Out into this Poniard, most likely just being sacked here. Goes for another Stealth Rock, not trying to get any damage into a Volby, trying to just sack this and not give it a speed boost. Default gets clicked the very next turn, and the Stealth Rocks still go up anyways. And now a really poor position for Laroxel, losing that tie. Vulpix is going to have to get sacked now as Tri-Attack gets clicked. Mienfoo comes in the very next turn, clicks Fake Out, trying to get some extra chip into this Porygon. Finally gets clicked, does 86%, and it burns. And now U-turn doesn't kill because of it. It's really tragic there for Laroxel. He's going to have to try and pivot out again. Mienfoo has to come in, get sacked. Volby's going to finally proc his Berry Juice, but because of that Tri-Attack burn, the Porygon lived the U-turn, and now his Volby is unable to handle this Abra. Laroxel reasonably upset by that burn into the Mienfoo because the U-turn would have killed otherwise, and he would have been allowed himself to get the Volby to proc its Berry Juice eventually against this Abra and live the Dazzling Gleam. But because that didn't happen, Rari is able to win this battle. And for our final match, we have Highbone versus Kither in Black and White Little Cup. Highbone opting to bring a pretty normal looking team. You've got some Abra Ghastly offense, which obviously strong special attackers, most likely trying to team up to break through that Poniard on Kither's side of the field. Mienfoo and Volby, relatively standard, as you've got Diglett for trapping support, could be really useful into this Omanyte or opposing Diglets, or actually the Poniard over there, while Fairy Seed is going to be trying to switch in to those strong special attackers, like potentially the Natu or Omanyte on the other side. On Kither's side of the field, we've got a relatively interesting looking team. We've got a Natu to try and deny hazards going up from Pokemon like the Fairy Seed on Highbone's side. We've got Diglett for, again, also trapping, could be trying to get that Abra or opposing Diglets. Mienfoo is just a standard pivoting Mon. Poniard most likely going to have Stealth Rocks and try and, or Choice Scarf. Omanyte, a lot of different options it could be here. It could be Toxic Spikes, it could be Stealth Rocks, it could be Shell Smash, and then Drifloon most likely with that Flying Gem Acrobatics, just trying to get big damage to whatever the switch-ins are. As we get into the battle, we see Mienfoo leads into the Drifloon. Great lead by Kither there, as it is in fact Flying Gem Acrobatics. It clicks Substitute here, actually, as Highbone clicks Thunder Wave, so another good turn by Kither there. Is putting more recoil damage into himself because of these Iron Barbs, but he is able to kill this Fairy Seed basically for free. He's in a really solid spot. He goes to click Will-O-Wisp instead. Unfortunate miss there, but Will-O-Wisp is only 75% accurate in Gen 5. Omanyte comes in the next turn as Volby gets clicked, as Diglett opts to be the switch in, as the Omanyte actually reveals itself as Shell Smash. However, it's Choice Scarf Diglett. He's able to knock out the Omanyte that's set up. Earthquake gets clicked again, revealing Kither's to be in a Violite Diglett as it lives. As U-turn is clicked, Highbone then revealing that he's Trick Black Sludge as he steals Mienfoo's Violite and takes a lot of damage from that payback still, only living because he stole it a Violite. Fake Out gets clicked into this Natu here, as it then reveals itself as Heat Wave, not doing much damage to Mienfoo here, perhaps predicting this Volby to be switching in. U-turn gets clicked into the Mienfoo again as Abra's finally get it's an entry point. Protect gets clicked, Protect trying to scout a move, but Hidden Power gets clicked and it crits. Could have been fighting or fire, we don't really know because of that crit. Psychic gets clicked, unfortunately for Highbone there, reveals itself as Memento as this Natu is Calm Mind. Knockoff gets clicked the very next turn, and it only does 32%, even at +1. Brave Bird now is going to actually be able to kill this Volibee, and with only Mienfoo left, and an Abra, and Ghastly in the back, it's not going to be able to do it. So Highbone's able to win this game. And those were the highlight matches of Round 2 of the Invitational that I am hosting. The results of Round 2 can now be seen on your screen here, with a lot of good players actually getting upset on within this round of the tournament. Thank you all so much for watching to the end of the video. If you do enjoy this type of content, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, as we will be covering the remaining rounds of the tournament and then eventually going into playoffs when we get there. Anyways, take care. Peace.